everybody, and welcome back to inFAMOUS. I'm kind of excited. I don't know about you. I've got pizza dough rising in the oven, and I'm sure you all want to talk about what we were talking about last episode with coal and electricity and stuff. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So last episode was super exciting. We were gang banged. Stuff blew up. Stuff fell over. All kinds of fun stuff. I mean, why did I make this intro so long? Gosh, I think we know what happened last episode. Come on, Come on, okay, in a second now. Okay, we're clear. And back to where we were at after the gangbang. Talking about electricity, talking about coal, trying to figure out how he works scientifically, why he would blow up a car if he sat in it. So the only thing I can think of is that for some reason, he got his current through the gas tank and also made a spark in the gas tank and or in the engine wherever there would be vapor, fuel vapor, and then that caused the explosion. That's the only thing I can think of. And I don't think I've done it yet in this game, but you can blow up cars. Yes, we can blow up cars. That is the thing we can do. Bye-bye. Look at him go. Kind of having fun there. You guys have probably noticed, I love just rotating the camera down just to look at him, just to watch him go. Just, you know, just making sure. Nice generator on a couple of roofs we've been on. It's an indicator of what's to come, my friends. Generators. Look at all of them. There's one on nearly every roof. Kind of important. Just kind of. Still plenty of shards for us to pick up on. What number are we at? Let's find out. I think there are 360 in the game, or 350. And we're probably at... I think by the time we get to episode 12, we're at like 75. I think we get a trophy that does something, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving away future episodes, guys, all just because I was editing it earlier. I didn't even watch it. I tried not to watch it because I like for this to be fresh whenever I'm, you know, watching it with you guys, doing the narration. That way I can kind of be surprised by stuff, you know, have fun with it, that sort of thing. Coffee! I want to read that sign.
Kept in the infirmary for several days.
I
Had my own
so.
room. Other than a nurse, didn't see anyone. I tested the door 5 times and it was always locked. Checked the IV, and they had me on a steady dose of Dolafine. So much for their healing abilities.
I have no idea what Dolafine is. I would assume it's something that helps you heal, since apparently he's making it sound like they claim that they can heal people, and it suddenly looks like they're just making it up to make you think things, that sort of thing. Look at all these cars. There's traffic jams in this apocalypse of New York or Empire City. A lot of junk in these back alleys too over here. So, I really want to talk about this part of the city, but we aren't there yet. We aren't going to be there until after the next mission. And it's part of the gameplay aspects. It's again, I'll get to it in a second.
Heard, there is a massacre at Stamford Bridge. Hundreds of innocent civilians gunned down by jackbooted cops and CDC thugs. People who wanted nothing more than some food and medicine, murdered in cold blood. This is how our government treats its citizens, how they respond to a national tragedy with violence and brute force. And in the center of it all, the terrorist. The trail of bodies left in his wake keeps getting longer and longer.
So we just got blamed for that too by the voice of survival. No wonder people hate us. I don't like that guy. Maybe we can find him. I mean, he's not even giving really good advice to people. Like I said, there's a lot of short-term advice he's been giving people, but long-term, nah. Man, we still have like 4 blocks to go. I guess that's why it takes till episode 12. Alright, well we can do this, guys! I'm so happy you're here with me. I love watching this, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have played the game, I wouldn't be narrating it. We're at the piers here. Hey, look, there's a cop car on the left. Look at that. There's not a lot anymore. Occasionally, oh, there's another one there. I was gonna say, occasionally you can get 4 or 5 of them to spawn in a row. And I've always wondered, I don't think there are any headquarters? No, I take that back. I think there is a headquarters. guy have a camera out? Yes, he does. A Polaroid at that. This lady's... That was a weird lady. That guy hobbling. Look at that lovely shadow, you guys. You'll also notice, this is the part where, since the moon is way out there, you may have noticed that it's nighttime, and that obviously when we started the game it was daytime. So there is time change. However, it's based on main missions. It changes based on main missions. So, since we've been between missions here for quite a while, it's been nighttime for quite a while. It's kind of cool, kind of weird, because it's cool because it means that when they have specific times that they need things to happen in the game, it won't be especially jarring when you go to that mission and let's say you're in the middle of the day, you start the mission. This is a weird glitch. I'm not sure if you can do it with all of them. Kind of funny. I was just kind of stuck here and I was moving the camera and the camera kept wanting to move away. So I'll hit O or jump or something. Get out of it. I forgot what I was talking about. Alright, so time of day. So it's kind of cool in that when you're doing main missions, it's not as jarring because let's say if time moved freely in this game, let's say if they had a 24-minute day or whatever, then when you started a main mission and you might be in the middle of the day and then it might start you in the middle of the night on a main mission. That was pretty cool running up that car. And that would be really jarring. As it is though, it's only really weird when you stop in between missions to do things like we're doing, because we're just kind of getting to that point where it's like, it's been nighttime forever. So that's kind of weird, but for the most part, I think they made a good decision in making time static in between missions, because at the same time, the main missions are, you know how time can move differently in movies and in video games just depending on how they want the story to progress, because you obviously assume that they skip all the boring things. And that's kind of important, because otherwise the stuff we're doing right now would be considering the boring stuff. So theoretically it might take one evening to do it.
Was introduced to Kessler today. He has some kind of metal device attached to his right arm, and his face is scarred, probably the result of an accident. One of the other guards told me that Kessler has been the leader of the First Sons for decades, but that he vanishes for long periods of time. Initial impression is that Kessler is a true believer. He has an agenda, and he's going to carry it out. We may have to move against him sooner than we had initially planned.
Alright, so we're getting some different information on Kessler. I think we're getting to some of the really good dead drops. Early on, it's just basic informational things. We're getting introduced to concepts and people. See, we can ride cars in this game just fine without blowing them up. So that's why I brought up the whole sitting in car deal. And it's actually riding cars and train tracks. It's actually a good way to get enemies to spawn. You just sit there.
There's a mugger hiding around here.
Oh, okay. Well, the camera's pointing us up there to tell us that's the point of interest that they're talking about. And we can see there are Reapers up here. And I've never understood. I'm assuming the Reapers are the muggers, but they're she said mugger, singular, and there's plural muggers, and then there was a dude. And I don't know if is it because I used the shockwave and I took out the regular guy that you don't like get rewarded for that, or I don't know if they're just like, oh, you did a good deed, you know, you get the good XP from killing these guys, whatever. You notice that our XP up there, high fall is grayed out and the takedown is blue. That's because enemy kills, regardless of what karma state you are, will always give you a teensy, like 1 karma of whatever you are. Just regular kills, and then stunts are neutral. And then there are certain actions you can do which will nudge your karmic state one way or the other. This is a beautiful sign. One of those things I told you about that make the city really cool and unique is that they have signs like this. This is the only place that sign appears in the game. It is not used again. It makes this area, it's like, this is the pier, this is where seafood is, blah, 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 blah. It's really cool. It just, one of those world building things I really talked about before. Rental, Empire, unlimited late fees. I have no idea what that ad is about. Kind of fun if you just kind of stare at the map and watch Cole's triangle like rotate side to side rapidly. Man, there's a bunch of shards over here. And you'll also find out too, after we do the next mission, why I've been putting that mission off. I mean, I keep bringing it up. The next mission is really important. It changes the game from what we're doing right now to something entirely different. It introduces a bunch of new concepts. So I hope you guys are excited for it if you're unfamiliar with the game. We can see the mission all the way over there. We're actually fairly close to it. It's just a couple blocks away, which all the islands are really small. The maps are, in theory, they're actually really small. I mean, it's kind of like Jack 2, where it takes like 5 minutes to get from one side of the map to the other, like New Haven City or whatever. I mean, it feels huge, especially in a video game, and 5 minutes is a long time in a video game. But as long as you're having fun, as long as you don't, as long as it's not too long, as long as it's not too big, as long as it's not just filled with filler, as long as there are things to do between point A and point B on the way there, you don't notice it, and it feels like a huge town. You feel immersed in this world that feels like it could be real, even though it's way too small to be real. Even though, it doesn't have enough of any services to be authentic and legitimate in real life. Bowling alley. So, before, probably when I first played this game, I had no idea how they'd be able to get a bowling alley in there. I'd be like, that's totally fake. They could not have a bowling alley in this city, especially in that building. But I've since been traveling a lot more in the past, however many years it's been, 5 or 6 years. So there's actually a bowling alley in Oklahoma City that is right on the river, and it takes up the basement of this place. It's half underground because the way the ground is... It's interesting the way the river works there, is that they keep, the river is like a whole level below the rest of the city. I guess, I would assume it's for flooding purposes, in case there's a flood, they'll be fine. And as far as I'm aware, it doesn't really do that. Or I've never heard of it actually doing it, even with all the rain that we had in May this year. I know it was really bad in Texas, but I know they had a bunch of rain up north too, especially with Tropical Depression Bill moving through. Brought a lot of rain here and up there. And I think the most rain that it gave was actually all the way up in Oklahoma. It was northeast of me. I want to say it was just a little bit south of Oklahoma City was where the most rain fell. Something over like 10 inches of rain. It was a ton of rain within like 48 hours.
Gained access to the primary lab. Audio surveillance will begin within the next 24 hours. I've placed 2 recording devices in the lab, which should provide optimal coverage. I'm also going to attempt to place devices within the cafeteria and other public places.
So that's kind of important. I hope you'll stick around, because what does that mean for the next episode? What does that mean for the next dead drops? I mean, listen to what he's saying there. We'll find out. Join me in the next episode of inFAMOUS. I mean, I hope you'll join me. I mean, I assume you'll join me. I mean, you want to join me, right?